Now we will begin adding hair to our bear, and we're going to do it with two tools primarily. One is the herring tool, and the other is the swivel knife again with our angle thin blade. We'll start with the hair blade, and we'll do the nose and the muzzle. Now that's done primarily with short strokes and not deep. Just a light texture on here. Notice I'm doing short strokes, and I'm doing it kind of in a circular motion and letting it touch on the back stroke. This gives it a little bit of a texture, but yet it's not coarse hair. Same thing on the other side. We will do it again in a circular motion, but letting it then hit on my right side. And we'll do this on the nose as well. And we'll do it up toward the center of the forehead. Here again, coming everything into the center. This will add roundness as well to the look of the nose. You can go over this as often as you want to get the texture that you're looking for. Before I start the cutting of the hair texture, I put a few lines on here to give me some indication of the direction of my cuts. Now, I'm getting that from the original picture that Tony did, and that's why I've got these coming toward the center and up the side, as you can see. Now we will start with our swivel knife, and these have to be rather deep cuts. Notice I'm starting out at the edge and pulling in toward the nose. And you need to vary these cuts, some deep, some not so deep, because this is a rather rough part of the bear. Very important again is the angle. Notice I'm coming off the tips at the same angle that I had stamped the tips. And again, some deep, some not so deep, making it look very rough. Now I will turn it, and I will cut from the muzzle down and from the lip down and blend it, as you can see. Now, here again, this being rough, so it's very important to vary the cuts, some deep, some not so deep, and blend it in with the ones that you come in from the outside on. Being careful not to cut onto the muzzle at this time. And this is how the beard should look. Next, we will start on the outer part, and we will do it just like we did on the beard, making sure that we come off at the same angle and make sure that the cuts are deep and varied. after we finish coming in from the tips, once again we'll turn it and come from the other fold out. Now we will continue doing this up both sides, and we'll come back in a little bit and give you some other hints. Again, I'm going to take my stylus, and looking at my picture here, I'm going to make some guidelines as to the direction of the hair. Now notice as the hair comes into the ear, it's going in this direction, but inside of the ear, it comes out like this. So if you'll make these marks, it will help you when you do your cutting of the hair. And of course around the eye, everything is very, very fine, and then it gets a little heavier as it comes out. And we can do that to both sides, and this will guide you as to your hair cutting. Now I will continue, and as I cut now in this area, I'm going to cut off the points, but I'm not going to be quite as deep now, because the hair generally is more coarse down on the bottom, on the neck and the beard, than it is on the face itself. So we will cut at random, coming off the points, but not quite as deep. However, we still want to make sure he doesn't look like he's been freshly groomed. So this will take some time. Take your time and just cut, and keeping the angles in the proper direction. Working around the eye, you'll notice I did this eyebrow kind of rough, and now we will come to the area above the eye, and we'll do this lightly. And where the bevel was, I'll turn it and come back from the other direction and cut it very lightly. Light, short strokes when you're close to the eye. Remember to keep these angles going in the right direction. Now as we move away from the eye down to this other fold, we'll cut a little deeper and a little rougher. And as we get back to the eye, we get short strokes and not as deep. Where these bevels are, we need to get on the other side of the bevel as well. And as we get further away, we cut a little deeper. For the ear, these have pretty rough hairs, so we'll pull those from the inside out, kind of in a spray, as you can see, and pull them out toward the edge, but not all the way to the edge. So they'll be heavier down in, and as you come toward the edge, lighten up on the cut. And notice that this has a different direction than the hairs right above the ear, or right below the ear. And now we'll take the cuts from the top of the head, and these are finer, so we don't cut quite as deep, but we make sure that the angle flows into the center of the area where it goes down to the nose. Starting from the bevel mark with the pointed beveler and flowing into the center. As we come off the forehead and down to the nose, we will lighten up and slowly fade the hair endings out to nothing. We'll do that from both directions, and then very lightly down here and blend it. In the lower part of the mouth, we can take our knife and put some tiny little shallow cuts and create some texture in there. And that pretty well does it for our hair on the bear. All we need to do now is do some work around the outside to cause him to stand out further from the background. If you want, you can use the ball end of your stylus and put a pupil in each eye. Not too deep, just enough to get some contrasting color. To texture around the bear, I'm going to use one of my favorite tools, which is the E294 matting tool. And there is what one impression looks like. Now I will drive it fairly deep right along the edge, making sure that I do not mash down any of the tips where I used my beveler. Notice that as I pick it up and move it, I'm rotating it so that I do not get a pattern. And then as I will take it back, and then with a lighter tap of the mallet, blend it to nothing. Even as I'm doing that, I'm rotating the tool. Notice as I taper this off, it appears that I'm walking the tool. Actually, I'm not walking it. I'm holding it slightly above the surface and then letting the strength of the mallet blow knock it down, and then I rotate it and move it. And there we have your finished bear head, all ready for your favorite dyeing and finishing technique.